Have you ever noticed that the strongest women are not the loudest in the room, but the calmest in chaos? Not the ones constantly proving themselves, but the ones quietly holding their ground? Let me tell you something today, something that might challenge your heart, but will liberate your mind. Being a powerful woman doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get better at carrying the weight without breaking. It means you understand something that most people miss. Power without acceptance leads to burnout, but power with acceptance leads to wisdom. So today, I want to share with you what every powerful woman needs to accept about life. Because if you don't, you will keep climbing mountains that were never yours to climb and chasing peace in places that will only exhaust your soul. First, accept this life will not always reward you immediately. You may love people who don't love you back. You may work harder than others and still not get recognized. You may be the backbone of your family and yet be the last one anyone checks on. But does that mean your value is missing? No. It means your value is so constant, so steady, that people start to take it for granted. A powerful woman must accept this silence, not as a sign to stop, but as a sign that your reward is still cooking. It's in the oven of time. And just because you can't see it doesn't mean it's not coming. Second, you will outgrow people's roles and even parts of yourself. Sometimes the very people who once cheered you on become uncomfortable with your evolution. Sometimes the places you felt safe now feel small. Sometimes your own desires shift so drastically that you barely recognize the woman you once were. This is not failure. This is not betrayal. This is growth. And growth demands courage. Not the courage to add more, but the courage to let go. A powerful woman doesn't shrink to keep others comfortable. She doesn't dim her light because someone else is squinting. She accepts that not everyone will come with her. And that's okay, because her journey is sacred, not crowded. Third, peace is more important than power, and often harder to keep. You can build an empire, earn every degree, dominate every boardroom, but if your inner world is filled with noise, bitterness, anxiety, or regret, what is it all for? True power is not about control. It's about composure. It's about walking into a room and not needing to impress. It's about being kind without being weak. It's about standing your ground without raising your voice. And most of all, it's about being at peace with your past, present, and future, even if none of them are perfect. A powerful woman accepts that life won't always make sense. Some chapters will be confusing. Some people will be unfair. But she also knows that her peace isn't dependent on outside circumstances. It's something she protects like a flame in the wind. Because she knows the moment she loses it, she loses herself. Let me ask you a question right now. Are you trying to win the world while losing your own peace? Are you trying to fix everything around you while ignoring the whispers within you? Because here's the truth, power is not about fixing. It's about facing. Facing your disappointments without bitterness. Facing your loneliness without desperation. Facing your confusion without rushing to escape it. A powerful woman doesn't pretend to be fine. She sits with her truth, breathes through the pain, and then she rises again. Not louder, not harder, but wiser. So if you're listening right now, don't wait for the world to tell you you're powerful. Don't wait for applause or approval. Decide who you are in silence. And then let your peace be the proof. This is what every powerful woman must accept, that her journey is not for validation, but transformation. That her strength isn't in what she shows, but in what she survives. And that her real power lies not in how much she controls, but in how deeply she trusts life, lets go, and walks forward with grace. Because in the end, the most powerful woman is the one who doesn't need to fight for a seat at the table. She builds her own table. And then she invites others to sit with her. Not because she has to, but because she knows that's what power is for. There's a strange silence that follows many of the good things we do. You go out of your way to be kind to someone, and they walk away as if it cost you nothing. You show up with consistency, you give your best, you sacrifice sleep, energy, time, and the world remains indifferent. There's no applause, no acknowledgement, not even a simple thank you. And it's in those moments that your heart whispers, "What's the point?" But here's the truth that every powerful woman must engrave into her soul. Life will not always reward you immediately, but it will eventually acknowledge your inner strength. We live in a world that celebrates outcomes, not effort. That praises highlight reels, but ignores the behind the scenes struggle. And if you're not careful, you might start believing that your value lies only in what's seen, only in what gets validated. But let me remind you, you are not doing it for the claps. You are not rising each day for the applause. You are building something eternal within you. And that takes time. There is a timing in life that doesn't follow your calendar. There is a justice in life that doesn't answer to your deadlines. You might pour your heart into something for years and see no return. You might watch others take shortcuts and win praise while you walk the hard, honest path and receive nothing but silence. That silence can feel unbearable. It can feel like life forgot you. But no seed grows the moment it's planted. And no woman becomes strong without walking through the silence of the soil. Every act of integrity, every moment you choose to stay true to yourself, every time you show up when it's hard, speak gently when you're tired, give when you feel empty, that's not wasted, that's stored. Stored in the invisible account of your character. Stored in the sacred rhythm of cause and effect that always finds its way back. But it tests you first. Life tests your patience, your intentions, your heart. It waits to see, will you still be kind when kindness isn't noticed? Will you still work with excellence when no one is watching? Will you still serve when no one says thank you? These aren't small questions. These are the fires that reveal your purity. Because true strength is not shown when you're celebrated. It is revealed when you're ignored and still choose to give your best. A powerful woman knows this. She doesn't crumble when her sacrifices go unseen. She doesn't quit when her love isn't returned. Because her power isn't transactional. It's transformational. She's not waiting for a reward to validate her. Her reward is in who she's becoming, not just in what she's receiving. You have to believe this even when it hurts. Because the most dangerous temptation you will ever face is the voice that says, "Why bother?" That voice wants to turn your strength into resentment. It wants to turn your generosity into bitterness. But you are bigger than that voice. You are deeper than that disappointment. Sometimes, the blessing doesn't come in the form of recognition. Sometimes it comes quietly, slowly, like peace returning to your chest. Like clarity where there was once confusion. Like inner strength growing in secret. These are the rewards that matter. The ones that cannot be taken from you. The ones that life gives to those who don't give up when it's hard. You may not always see the harvest of your kindness right away, but one day, unexpectedly, effortlessly, life will circle back. A door will open, a burden will lift, a person will speak your name with respect you didn't know was building. And in that moment, you'll realize life was never ignoring you. It was just preparing the right moment to honor what you carried in silence. So keep going. Keep showing up. Keep living with integrity, even when it seems like no one is watching. Because someone is, your future self. She's waiting for you to stay strong. She's waiting for you to keep trusting the process. She's waiting to look back and say, I'm proud of the woman who didn't stop when things were slow or quiet or unseen. The truth is, life may delay your reward, but it never denies it. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. And when it comes, it won't just reward what you did. It will reflect who you became. Because your inner strength, it's not just noticed, it's remembered. It's the one thing life never forgets. One of the most difficult truths every powerful woman must face is this. You will outgrow many things and many people. It doesn't mean you've become arrogant. It doesn't mean you think you're better than others. It simply means your soul has evolved beyond certain environments, certain conversations, certain patterns, and yes, certain relationships. Growth, real growth, isn't always a joyful expansion. Sometimes it's a quiet breaking away from the things that once made you feel safe. There was a time when you laughed effortlessly with some people, when certain habits felt natural, when certain dreams lit up your spirit. But now those same things feel out of alignment. The laughter is forced, the habits feel heavy. The dreams no longer fit the woman you're becoming. And that's not failure, that's transformation. A seed doesn't stay a seed forever. A butterfly doesn't apologize for leaving the cocoon. And you don't need to feel guilty for shedding layers that no longer serve your destiny. People often say, you've changed, as if it's a crime. But the real tragedy is staying the same when your heart is longing to grow. When your spirit is being pulled in a higher direction, and you silence it just to keep familiar company. Outgrowing people is painful because it often involves love. It involves history. It involves shared memories that once meant everything. But love that doesn't grow with you begins to suffocate you. It asks you to shrink, to stay quiet, to be less so others can stay comfortable. A powerful woman begins to recognize that some relationships were only meant for a season. Not all friendships are lifetime covenants. Not all companions are soul-aligned partners. Some were just stepping stones to your next level. And when the season ends, the door doesn't slam in anger, it simply closes in peace. You walk away not because you hate them, but because you've learned to love yourself enough to keep moving forward. And it's not just people. You will outgrow your own habits, the way you used to react, the excuses you used to make, the stories you used to tell yourself about who you are and what you deserve. Growth forces you to face your own reflection and say, I cannot carry this version of me into the next chapter. It's humbling. Sometimes you mourn your old self, the one who tolerated chaos just to feel wanted, the one who feared solitude so much that she settled for mediocrity. But don't fear this process. It is sacred. Outgrowing is proof that you're alive, that your spirit is stretching, that your values are refining. It means you've tasted something deeper, peace, truth, self-respect, and now your soul cannot go back to what once felt normal. Your spirit recognizes what drains you and what nourishes you. You stop entertaining drama, not because you think you're too good for it, but because your nervous system is tired. You stop over-explaining yourself, not because you're cold, but because you've learned that peace doesn't require justification. You will start to crave depth over noise, substance over attention, stillness over stimulation. And as you shift, so will your circle. The conversations will change. The energy will feel different. Some people will drift. Others will be drawn to you, not because you're trying to impress them, but because your authenticity radiates. And in that shift, you will discover a truth that sets you free. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to honor your own becoming. Outgrowing is not rejection, it is redirection. And redirection is divine. It clears the space for alignment, for real love, for friendships that feel like mirrors instead of masks, for opportunities that match your courage, not just your convenience. But it will require you to be brave, to walk away from the familiar, to say goodbye without bitterness, to trust that every time you release what no longer fits, you are one step closer to what truly belongs. Yes, it will be lonely at times. Growth often is. But the silence that comes after outgrowing is not emptiness. It's preparation. It's where your new self begins to breathe. And eventually that breath becomes strength. That strength becomes wisdom. And that wisdom becomes the compass for a life that is no longer built on fear or approval, but on truth. Your truth. And that, above all, is what makes a woman powerful. There comes a time in every powerful woman's life when she must ask herself, what am I really chasing? At first, it might be recognition, respect, status, or influence. And while there's nothing wrong with pursuing excellence, something begins to shift when your soul gets tired. Not physically tired, but emotionally, spiritually, silently tired. That's when you start to realize that peace is more valuable than power, and often harder to keep. Power looks glamorous from the outside. It looks like confidence, leadership, applause, and control. But there's a hidden cost to power when it's not anchored in peace. It becomes performative. You start to feel like you're always on, always proving, always carrying, always defending. And slowly, power becomes a mask, not a reflection. You smile, you lead, you show up, but inside you're restless. You lie awake at night not from weakness, but from weight. Peace, on the other hand, is quieter. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't shout for attention. It's not driven by ego or competition. Peace is humble. It's invisible. But it is everything, because the moment you lose it, no amount of success, control, or approval can make up for its absence. Peace is the ability to rest in your own skin, to be alone without feeling lonely, to disagree without becoming bitter, to walk away without guilt, to breathe deeply without racing thoughts stealing your breath. And here's the challenge: peace isn't just found, it must be fought for, guarded, protected. Because the world will constantly offer you reasons to give it up. Someone's opinion, someone's betrayal, someone's misunderstanding, the pressure to compete, the temptation to react, the fear of being misunderstood. All of these are weapons that chip away at your peace if you let them. And sometimes, the hardest thing to do isn't to speak up, but to stay quiet. Not because you're weak, but because you know the value of your inner calm. A powerful woman who lacks peace becomes a prisoner to everything around her. Her mood shifts with people's approval. Her joy rises and falls with external outcomes. Her confidence becomes fragile. She may have power, but she is not free. But a woman who has peace, she is unshakable. She can be in the middle of chaos and still hear the voice of her own soul. She can let people go without needing closure. She can say no without explanation. She can endure delay without anxiety. Because her power isn't fueled by noise, it's rooted in stillness. Peace doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough not to lose yourself in battles that don't matter. It means you've matured enough to pick silence over screaming, stillness over striving, surrender over stress. And you begin to realize that sometimes real power is in letting go. Letting go of being right. Letting go of being liked. Letting go of being understood. Because in that letting go, you find something far greater: freedom. This kind of peace doesn't come from perfect circumstances. It comes from discipline. It comes from choosing your battles wisely, from creating boundaries without apology, from knowing what deserves your energy and what doesn't, from choosing rest over revenge, healing over holding grudges, understanding over reacting. You don't get there overnight, but you get there little by little, each time you choose not to give your peace away. And that's what makes peace harder to keep than power. Because it's easy to chase power when you're running from insecurity. It's easy to look successful while your soul is unraveling inside. But peace, it requires alignment, honesty, stillness. It forces you to confront your chaos instead of masking it. And in that confrontation, you grow. So yes, be powerful, build, lead, inspire, but don't do it at the cost of your inner sanctuary. Because one day, when all the applause fades, when the crowd leaves, when the noise quiets, you'll ask yourself, am I at peace? And if the answer is yes, then you are richer than most. Because a woman who has peace has already mastered the greatest power of all, herself.